Hello everybody, I hope you are well. Now this is the sixth and last in our Boxing for Beginners series, which featured the legend that is Chad Chop Chop Milnes, former New Zealand lightweight boxing champion. Now for me personally, I found this session absolutely fascinating, and in today's video we cover off about 15 minutes of the Q&A session he held afterwards. In this session he talks a lot about fight strategy, which is absolutely fascinating. Lots of traditional martial arts don't really even go into this, and of course it's a major part of boxing. He talks about the cultural differences between fighters around the world, which is really interesting, and just basically how your own personality can affect how you choose to fight, which again I think is something we should all really pay attention to. So a fantastic session, and thanks once again to Chad for giving up his time. We really appreciate it. If you enjoy this and you've enjoyed this series, please smash the like button, consider subscribing, and enjoy the clip.
So with that, right? So with that, you always want to be in that situation. You always want to be partner A. You want to be first, right? You always want to initiate, because if you're partner B, you're always like, you're waiting for your opponent to do something, and if you're waiting, you're a lot more open to manipulation. People can feint at you, they can trick you, and you don't know when they're going to start. Whereas if you're first, if you're the person that leads off, then as you throw the shot, that's when you're open. That's your time of you're being vulnerable, and that's when they're most likely to do something. So you're also aware of when your opponent's going to do something, so you can anticipate it. Whereas if you're the second person just waiting, it's just you don't know. You could fully be wrong, anticipate wrong, get caught in between. And if you're the first person at the same time, if you lead off, like you're only vulnerable to certain shots. So when you pop that shot, most likely you're only vulnerable to like a right hand, or if they slip in and go to the head. So also the options that they can come back at you with are limited as well. So you can anticipate that as well as anticipate the timing. And if you can anticipate it and plan it as well, you're like manipulating them to do what you want, then that's how it's a lot easier to set up the shots that you want to, and be able to really capitalize on their mistakes and get power and then everything into your punches. So that's just a little breakdown of some real basic stuff, like our stance, our punch technique with our basic punches, some basic hand defenses and head defenses from the jab, and just a little bit on that strategic part, because that chess match, boxing and fighting is all that chess match. You don't know what your opponent's got, and you've got to see what they got to do, or what they can do, and be able to make them fight into your rhythm and to manipulate them to do what you want them to do. Just a little bit on that strategy, that little formula of our phases of attack. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah, it's very broad. I mean, there's lots of different defenses. There's so many different shots that you'll defend from. Didn't even really go into like creating angles. I guess maybe one day I could come back and elaborate on that another time.
Absolutely.
It's that big, and every boxer or every person is a different size, different strength. They have different attributes. Some are powerful, some are fast, and with those, the way that you apply yourself to the sport is going to be really different. So, I mean, some that are a bit shorter, stronger, stockier, they're going to use their head more to close the range. They're going to go to the body. They're more likely to use their defenses with their head or their hands, as opposed to using their feet to evade and go side to side. So everybody's going to be different, and everyone's going to have their own take and their own way that they're going to implement strategies and stuff. So can elaborate that on another time, which would be kind of cool.
Beautiful.
No questions at all? Anything else?
From a point of strategy,
Yep.
you obviously there's some very famous counter-punching boxers.
Yes, yeah.
Apart from, as you've already mentioned, size and kind of biomechanical makeup, what else would push someone towards being a counter-puncher rather than get in first?
I think a lot also is personality, like it's where you express yourself, and a lot of it comes down to your personality type. Some people like to be a little bit showy, so then they're going to want to be counter punchers and be fast and use their speed. Some people are a bit more rash and maybe bullish, and they just want to be aggressive and get in there and throw hard shots. I think a lot also is like culture. I fought around different parts of the world and different nations and different, like our Eastern European fighters, their style is a lot more relaxed, but they're way more intellectual with how they box. They really are strategic. They don't throw a lot of shots. It's not so much of a physical game where it's trying to, having a fight where it's throwing powerful shots, trying to make your opponent tired. It's way more about trying to find your opponent's patterns and exploit, their weaknesses, setting shots up, kind of like what we just did at the end, setting shots up. Whereas if you go to like a lot of the Asian countries, they're a lot more work rate. They use their feet a lot more. They're a lot faster. They use their feet to pull punches. The Europeans are a little bit more flat-footed. They use their hands and they use their timing and things like that to get their opponents. And then if you're like Kiwis, Aussies, and Americans, we're a bit more aggressive. It's more of a fight as opposed to like a match of skills and strategy. We're a little bit more physical. We want to have a fight. Like across. Obviously, it's not going to be just like that wherever you are. They are that way. But I've noticed and I've seen that a majority, like the culture has sort of shaped and formed the strategies that they kind of implement. Yes.
Yeah, you've obviously won a lot of matches. So what do you have that helps you win, and what do you have that you hope the other guy doesn't know that you have?
So
what attributes do you have that you hope the other guy doesn't know you have? If you know what I mean.
How
do you win? How do you win?
Well, me, like I'm shorter than most people, for my weight category as well. But like I'm not really strong, but I'm quite quick, and I like to use my feet and my head. So I like to throw shots, and I would make my opponents throw punches back at me, so that which I didn't break into. We got positive and negative defenses. All right, so I want them to miss, and when they miss, then I'm able to bring them a little bit closer to me, and then that's when I can get my shots off. So I'm a bit more of a counter puncher. Like as my style, I like to throw shots out, reveal targets, use my head, because you don't always just throw shots to reveal targets. You can use your head to reveal a target, right? So if I do that, I've done something to sort of pull something on, right? So I could feint that, and when they throw the jab to where I've gone, boom, I've moved this way, I get my shots off, and I defend. So that's how I sort of implement my strategy in boxing. And like as you go through the sport over the years, you'll sort of find what things work for you, and a lot of them come down to personality as well. Some people just non-stop go at their opponents. They don't really think about the skill aspect so much. Just throw the shots, go to the body, and they find that they slow their opponents down, and then they get the wins, they get their shots off, the other person tires. I think a lot of that is part of the self-discovery. Part of it is a bit of a journey in boxing as well, and fighting sports, I guess in general. Everyone has their own kind of their journey, and they find what works for them and what they enjoy doing. I think a big part of it is what you enjoy. You've got to enjoy what you're doing to be effective. A happy fighter is a dangerous fighter. So, yeah. Anything else? The answer, question?
Yeah. All good?
Yes. Do you plan what the opponent is going to do before the game?
Well, yeah. Like if you can find video of your opponent, it's good to have a look. What? I mean, you can only take away so much because, combat is everybody's unique. So one person might fight another person in a completely different way to how you would fight them, because again, different attributes, different styles. Someone might be very aggressive where you're not very aggressive. So, but what you can take away is you can take away sort of they've got habits. Some people have those habits where they'll throw the jab, boom, bring their hand back down here. I mean, even if people practice in a perfect way, every time you throw a shot, you are vulnerable somehow. So their patterns might be, they always like to pop the jab, pull back off a counter, or they pop there, they drop it down, or as people attack them, they like to maybe fade off one certain way. If you can key on to some of those patterns, and whether they are correct, you can still use those in your favor, right? So just like what I pointed out, pop the shot, you defend, make them do what they might favor, but have something ready, right? You practice that in the gym. If you've got an opponent, in 4 weeks you're gonna fight this person, Then all right, I'm going to work on that in the gym. I want to make them go that way that they like to go. What is it that makes them go that way? And then have your little attack or your little strategy, work on that in the gym. There might be a few different things that you might want to capitalize on. And because boxing is, you got rounds, right? So rounds are judges will decide who wins the round. And you might only need to pull off 2 or 3 good little attacks where you land some good shots, and then the judges will go, oh, well, he won that round because he was more effective for those. It might only be a couple of times those points stood out, and then you can get the judges' impression on the judges that you won the round. So it's have a little bit of a plan. A lot of it still you've got to go on there and see how they respond to you, which could be different. A little bit is piecing it together, but still having, of course, like a sort of general guideline strategy helps. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Did you ever have any issues with hometown judges in different countries?
Yes, and it also helped me. No, totally. I mean, I fought a Serbian in Serbia, and everything was against me. And like that place, it felt like no, that place is like war torn place. It felt like if I died, it would have been great. They would have loved it. They would have cheered. It was mental. And yeah, the judges are on his side. He got a majority. He beat me when I think I took him to school. He lost the point for holding as well, so I don't know how I lost that, but that totally, it totally happens. And I think, it's sad to say, but when you get to like the high level, there's also a lot of money involved. And then, I mean, even if it's not money, it's just people, oh, well, that guy is, that boxer is the champ, so even if they look like they're losing, they're probably winning. Maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. Some people don't understand. Yeah.
When you're looking at your opponent, is there a particular part of the body that can tell you like which way they're going to go, like what punch or side they're going to?
Well, I like to look at the chest. I can see certain things. Maybe I can be a little bit aware of feet as well. If I look at the chest, I can see the feet. I can also see the hands. I can see the head. But then again, like a lot of it is anticipation. Like you don't want to try and watch for what's going to happen, because when you watch, you're always a little bit behind, like if someone, particularly people can be quite quick, so if they're going to pop a shot off and you're waiting to see it, you're always going to be that half a second off, and then you're reactive. If you're reactive, you resort to more of like what's habits, and then if you're always reactive habit, that's when you're more likely someone can use that against you. If you're always waiting, you've got to be proactive, you've got to be setting it up, you've got to be first, trying to make them do things, and mostly anticipation. You want to key into their timings, their habits, right? If they always go 1, 2, boom, and then they pop a shot off, you want to look for those things. So it's all anticipation as opposed to watching. Because if you're watching, you're always behind. You're always reactive to what's in front of you, and then you're just way open to, and it's tiring. And it's tiring to like always be so switched on, trying to focus and wait for something to happen. You've got to be tense. You've got to always be ready. It's not as economical. So yeah, but.